All right, we're live. Say hello.
Hey, everybody. It's Christmas Abbott. We are live in Fort Lauderdale.
What's up,
hey,
Christmas?
How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good to see you again.
Good to see you, too. Welcome to beautiful Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, you came to me last time, so I'm coming to you this time.
I know.
And I brought this amazing sunset.
I know. This is probably one of the best backdrops that we've ever had. Welcome back, Christmas. I think it was like episode 30-something. Christmas Abbott was on the show. Back then it was called Inquiring Minds. Now it's called TheCloserClub.
Yeah.
We're coming live from Fort Lauderdale, from the W Fort Lauderdale, which is a project that my parent company represents. In the first episode, I got to go through my notes, so I'm trying to do it without notes. But
you were talking about changing the name when you came up.
We did. You're right. And then I told you afterwards that we changed. Good memory.
Hey, I'm not always an asshole.
Oh, come on. You're actually the one that told me to write a book too, and all that stuff.
Yeah, how's that going?
You know what? It's starting to have a germ of an idea.
Ooh.
So this one, that one behind the camera is pushing me over there to write
As
the book.
always,
so,
the ladies do.
I'll tell you something. I am actually as motivated as we want to be on camera and all that good stuff. I know, and I'll say this on camera. I don't care. The reality is, I have
filter.
No filter. No, I get scared. You know, it's hard. You got a wife. You have 4 kids that you got to support. So for me, being everything that I've built, it's hard to take those risks, right? And she's the one pushing me, like saying, "Don't be scared." We at one point in our life, we had lost it all. She's like, "You're not going to get there again. What are you waiting for? Go."
Well, you think it was hard for you, and she's reassuring you that she believes in you and she's going to support you, and that you guys are going to get through it.
That's right.
So this is something that I was actually just having a conversation on. I'm going off script.
No, go.
Throw that over the thing. Don't get in trouble for littering. Is the battle between intuition and logic. So your intuition tells you what your purpose and your passions are, and your logic says, well, that's not reasonable. You need to make sure that you have X, Y, Z. It's your checklist, right?
Sure.
And a lot of people get stuck on the checklist, and they miss the bigger picture. They miss their intuition and their calling and their purpose. And so they end up in these shitty jobs, and they're miserable, and they're just never expanding or exploring or really growing and evolving, because logically it doesn't make sense for them to quit their job and go start a hot dog stand, whatever it is, you know, or just, you know, never being a writer before, trying to write a book. And it's how you attack that intuition with a plan, with support, with your family, with the right things in mind and in place. That's what makes you successful. And that's why people are like, oh, you're the exception. Well, you figured it out. Well, you figured it out because you followed your intuition and you didn't let logic get in the way, but you used logic to support you in a positive way that creates a game plan.
Got it.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm going to steal that. I love that. Forget the rest of the interview. We're done. We're going to go have a drink.
We're going to
have a drink in the living room. Well, in the last episode that we talked about, because this one's going to be, actually, let me start with the intro. Good evening, everybody. My name is Alex Vidal. I am president of Related ISG International Realty and host of the show you're watching, episode number 72 weeks in a row of the Closer Club. Christmas is joining us again, as she mentioned before, the first interview we did in Raleigh. In that interview, you should go to my YouTube page at TheCloserClub.com. You'll see it there. We talked about systems to stay positive, handling high-pressure situations from her background in NASCAR and competing in CrossFit.
And I never learned on how to put a
lapel mic
on. Yeah. Okay.
Branding, overcoming fears, tips to becoming a woman power player. But today we're gonna dig a little deeper. We're gonna get personal with Christmas. Something that she's starting to do, and take her personal experiences and seeing how you can apply that in your life. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
So something that you just went through recently was you broke your foot, which ended your professional career as a CrossFitter. And interestingly enough, I did a triathlon on Sunday, and 2 weeks ago I herniated a disc in my back. I couldn't walk for a week. And
then you did a marathon?
I did a 2.5 hour triathlon on Sunday.
Did
2
your
hours and
doctor
30 minutes.
approve this?
No,
Did your doctor approve this?
No, she told me not to do it. But I was able to race. I probably would have been depressed if I didn't race because the amount of time I put into training.
I get it.
So when I was preparing these questions, I looked at it and said, oh my God, you broke your foot and it ended your career. I couldn't imagine I can't imagine what that did to you. So as a result, you felt like you lost your identity.
I did.
So how did you find yourself again and reignite that professional passion?
So I had to figure out why I competed in the first place.
Okay.
And it was because I loved fitness so much.
All right.
And it wasn't because it's not the byproduct. People think that that you do it to have a great body. That's the byproduct of the why. The why is because it rejuvenated me. It fed my soul. It gave me the endorphins and the high that I was looking for, that I had subsidized with drugs and alcohol and sex. Just like there's that side, and then there's this new side. So I used fitness, and I just ended up being really good at competing. And so when I broke my foot, I was like, well, this is it. I'm done. Like, I'll never end up doing it again, because it was such a severe break.
Sure.
And so through this process, I was like, well, I had to reevaluate why I loved competition, because it just taps into a spirit. I call it my baby monster. I think we talked about it. I just go and eat their little souls.
Yeah, it's like collecting souls. That's something David Goggins says that too. So
So I had to figure out something that, not necessarily replace it, but do I want to repeat the same life experience and try and find a new sport that I can compete in, or do I want to try and evolve into something else?
Okay.
And so I chose evolving. And I really put a lot of focus in my why of like, why did I break my foot? What have I been doing in my life that has caused this destruction? And just really holding myself accountable for all of my actions, good and bad, especially the bad.
Got it.
And stop blaming other people for my misfortunes, because they were mine.
Sure.
And so through that process, I'm excited, because I'm going to start competing again in weightlifting.
Really? Mm-hmm. What's your favorite lift?
Snatch. It's so hard, It's just not everybody can do it well, and the ones that do, it takes discipline. And there was this whole time in my period in my life where people were like, what inspires you? I'm like, screw inspiration, get disciplined. And it's through discipline that I've been able to really reflect on my own understanding of why I broke my foot. I needed to break my foot in order to be able to relinquish that and to open myself up and my space in my life for something new and better.
Got it.
It's like giving up the small teddy bear for the bigger one, but you can't see it.
Yeah.
You have to trust it.
So and so going back, the way you've reignited that professional passion was finding the why. Why were you doing everything?
So I started coaching again. And that, seeing other people's moments where they have an aha, where they have just literally completed something that they knew and they have declared was impossible, and they did it, and they feel that possibility spark, and now their potential, and they're just excited to see what else they can do. That is what I've gone back to, and that's exciting.
And I can concur on that. I do that with our agents and the coaching and the motivating, and then seeing a result of all the effort that we're putting in training them. So that's really cool.
It's like your kids are growing.
I know, they're growing. It's so true. Actually, we go through that a lot for sure. Now, a huge part of your life a huge part of anyone's life is personal and professional relationships.
Yeah.
There's actually a Harvard study that it's like the longest running study. They studied 800 men from when they were in their teens, and like 400 from like the ghettos of New York, and 400 from like the rich parts of New York. Now this is like 80 something years. And they asked them, what do you think you need to live a long, happy life? And they all said, we want to be rich. And a lot of them said we want to be famous. Mm-hmm. Fast forward, you can find it on YouTube, the TED Talk. It's a TED Talk, Harvard study on happiness. They found out that nothing had to do with money or fame. Mm-hmm. That happiness dealt directly with the depth of their relationship with their friends and their family and their significant others, right? So you decided to end a relationship that was good enough, but not right. So what lessons did that experience teach you, and how are you seeing those lessons play a role in your professional and personal life?
I think that every person, there's a lot. I didn't realize how loaded that question was.
That's okay.
Right? So there's always that trauma relationship, that one that like just really put a scar on you, and you have scar tissue, and you carry that baggage within everything that you do. So I had to look at that relationship, and I had to look at what I was accountable for, because you can argue that that he decided to do this and that was the demise of our relationship. But the truth is that I played an active role in ignoring my responsibilities in that relationship of negligence.
Sure.
And it made me look at what I wanted out of a relationship, that I want to be present, and I am more present, and I don't carve out the time. It is there. And going into being a mom, now it's just like that's the way it is. I don't answer my phone after a certain time. I don't do work after a certain time. I don't take on or extra jobs or travel, because I want that relationship with my son to be as healthy and happy and stable and consistent more than any other relationship that I've ever had in my life. So I had to look at myself, be accountable for myself in order to be able to apply my full self to my son.
Well, what I love about that is being present. I think actually that even in this interview process, I was always thinking next question, right? Is the camera on? Like, and I remember telling my wife, like, I got to work on being present. And I think, again, we know that these are realtors watching this and salespeople. I think a lot of them are
so many more people are watching this.
They are. There are a lot of people, especially because I'm going to target the CrossFitters in this article too. But I think that what's lacking in let's say in sales in particular is the ability to actually be present and knowing what that person's wants and needs are, and not just trying to cram a property down their throat to try to sell.
Right. You have a pitch, and once you land that sale, so I'm a process person versus an end result person, and I dated an end result person briefly.
Sure.
Because once they got the sale, they didn't keep doing the work.
Got it.
And I was like, the magic's in the work. So listening, finding out what their needs are, and then as you're watching these properties come up or these processes, right, then knowing what's actually going to speak to them.
There you go. There you go, salespeople. All right.
It's all applicable.
We may get dark out here. We'll see. So I can't get over the view behind us, by the way.
I know.
All right. So now, while all this was going on, you also became a single mother. I thought Loyal was going to be here, but he's in Tampa. But a lot of that led to the loss of your old self and the birth of your new self, all in the very public eye. She has like 800,000 followers on Instagram. By the way, what's your Instagram?
Christmas Abbott.
Christmas Abbott.
Very difficult to stalk.
So with all this having happened, you now look back and say it was the best thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah.
How did this change who you are as a person, and how can the viewers apply that in their life?
You know, I think that whenever people go through trauma in their life, whether the trauma is good or bad. So have you ever watched did we talk about this last time?
I don't know. Depends. Ask the question and I'll let you know.
I get ahead of myself. It's Collateral Beauty.
Okay, no, we did not talk about that.
Will Smith movie. Everybody needs to watch that. Okay. Collateral Beauty. And what happens is that these traumatic times, there's this person that's sitting there and she's like, hey, I know this is happening, but if you stop a minute in that moment and look around, if you don't, you'll miss the collateral beauty. But it sometimes shows up years later. Okay. And basically saying that every trauma, every issue, or every disaster, or whatever it may be, negative event, has collateral beauty. So it has a ripple effect that is going to be a positive thing if you open your eyes up to it and you accept that that could happen in your life. And that just doesn't mean like, a very poor example of this is if you're in financial need and then you have a loved one die and they leave you an inheritance. That's a collateral beauty, but that's very surface level.
No, I understand.
And so for me, just
it's like getting fired and then all of a sudden a new opportunity presents itself because you got fired.
For sure. For me, I wasn't ready to let go of the person that I was because it was comfortable, it was consistent, and I knew it worked well for me.
Sure.
But it was limiting my growth. And so when I had Loyal, that forced me into a different place. You know, the foot and then Loyal and being a single mom, it forces you to really look at what you're willing to allow yourself to be, like to who you will be. And so with that, I just started to again protect that space and time and not just say yes to everything to say yes and create opportunity. I was selective with my opportunity, even if it wasn't benefiting me more than before.
Got it.
And so I wanted to give up more because I had more at home.
Interesting.
Yeah. And people think that, I mean, I haven't traveled, not because I haven't had the opportunities, because I haven't wanted to, because being at home with Loyal is super important to me.
Well, for the one trip you did pick, the W at the Fort Lauderdale is absolutely stunning.
I mean, I love this place. This is my view when I wake up.
I know, it's amazing. Her room looks straight out.
It only took a year.
Yeah, only a year. Last question. I was going to ask a question regarding working out and nutrition.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't want to go there because I think what you've provided today has been absolutely amazing.
This is part of my process of embracing this understanding and helping people transition through theirs.
Right. So now this question I ask regardless in any interview, a book, podcast, or TED Talk recommendation? Aside from The Badass Life, which is your own book.
Okay, so for some reason instantly The Living Tree comes to my mind, but that's not actually accurate. I'm gonna send it to you, and I'll let you guys.
We'll put it in the comments.
Basically, what this book is, I can't remember the name of it right now, but my doula, my nanny, who's very good friends of mine, I think she's saved me and Loyal's life the first few weeks of him coming home.
Really?
She just educated me, and it was just so empowering because I was a completely single mom, and her father died of cancer, Charles. And he wrote a book. He basically blogged about his experience through the last few years of his life. Okay. And he was such a cool, kind of sarcastic, slightly narcissistic guy. And he just had this really great outlook on life. And I've been reading it right now, and it's so good. Okay. And I want to send you the link for it. Cool.
Well, you're tagged on this, so we'll.
So it's a local girl.
It's awesome. And
nobody would really know.
And we'll include it in the comments down below. Now I'm going to go around. Christmas, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time out of your vacation. Well, you have something going on tomorrow night, so if people want to see you in person, what's going on tomorrow night?
Yeah. So tomorrow night here at the W in Fort Lauderdale, we're doing a show party for the finale of Big Brother, which has been a little traumatic for me to watch, but I'm working through it. Okay, I'm working.
That's where she broke her foot, by the way.
That's where I broke my foot and I lost my mind. But I loved it. I loved the experience. So we're having a viewing party tomorrow night, and if you go to my Instagram page, you can find the link for the Eventbrite.
There you go. Christmas Abbott on Facebook as well. Christmas, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Love you so much.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Family too.
No, I got fans behind the camera that you guys can't see. I'm going to go around. Any parting words for the audience before I turn the camera off?
No, just thanks for watching, guys.